wait till you get out. Watch. What's gonna suck is that he's gonna go in, and then it's gonna be the whole like he's gonna come out seconds into us starting. He's like, "Fuck."
Honestly, yeah. Oh well, poetry and hip hop go hand in hand, and for a time in the early 2000s, we saw a resurgence in interest in poetry, especially slam poetry. Welcome to the Barf Bar Podcast, and this week we have Jose joining me to talk about Def Poetry Jam and why we should bring it back. So, Jose,
What's up?
what is Def Poetry?
So, Def Poetry in the early 2000s was a form of expression for a lot of people, especially during like really hardship times that we were going through. Bikes. Sorry.
I probably should also say this is clearly outside and not in my room where everything is more controlled. So,
Or over Zoom.
yeah, or over Zoom. So it's if you hear weird sounds and hear cars driving by, that's because they are.
Yeah. You might see me make weird facial expressions because the loud noises.
It's just just a throwback to the early days of the podcast where we recorded anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
Including IHOP.
Or in the car after I hop.
Or outside of Starbucks.
Yeah. Good times.
Honestly, the audio wasn't that bad for those ones. But anyways, going back to what is Def Poetry?
So Def Poetry in the early 2000s, so like 2002 to 2006, it was a time where a lot of MCs and spoken word artists were trying to get known and picked up by Russell Simmons to perform on stage, and it was very inspirational for a lot of poets that wanted to break out on this scene, and it gave us like a new form of expression as well as giving us the inspiration to have our own open mics and really going through and trying to make things happen in our own like little towns and cities and whatnot.
Yeah, and that's pretty important, especially to you, because I mean, I read your blog, and
Yeah.
it seemed like it had a pretty big impact. I mean, and that's pretty obvious knowing you, but
Yeah. So
viewers might not know all that.
So I'm a spoken word artist. I mean, aside from me working on my own little projects right now, spoken word artist, I host an open mic once a year called The Transformation. I always use it as a fundraiser for different organizations. But yeah, I got into Def Poetry, funny enough, when the DVDs were out. So I had purchased season 1 and 2, and then I started finding out from other poets in the area that, yeah, season 3 is still going on HBO, and then when it came out on DVD, I bought it. Same thing with 4 and 5. And I thought after 5 it died out because nothing was really like talked about. There wasn't anything on TV about it. And it wasn't until I went over to a buddy's house where he said, yo, final season of Def Poetry is tonight. And I was like, oh shit. Okay, I dropped everything, went over to his house to watch it. And then I bought the 6th season on DVD. I bought the book. I bought some of the poets that were on Def Poetry. I bought their books. I met some of them. I've had interaction with some of them online. So yeah, it has meant a lot to me in the last couple of years.
For sure. So for people who aren't like fully aware, like how was the whole show set up? I mean, I know it was hosted by Most Def, but it wasn't quite slam poetry in what my mind would think of slam poetry as.
Right.
And more kind of like an open mic sort of thing.
Yeah, so Most Def, the MC, what's he goes by now?
Yassine Bey.
Yeah, Yassine Bey. He was the host, and they had different poets from around the world, well, mainly the U.S., come out and perform. And, they had a time limit and whatnot. So very much so like an open mic. It was on a stage, and they had an audience. It was great because the audience wasn't too big. It wasn't like in a huge theater. It wasn't at a television studio. It was just like a small space where you could clearly see the performers, hear them, and even when they didn't have microphones and they weren't mic'd up, you could hear them clearly. It was very much so like an open mic.
Yeah, from the videos that you sent me, it looked kind of just like a regular open mic. Like it wasn't like you said, like anything that's super crazy. Like it wasn't overly produced or anything like that.
Yeah, and that was the great thing. Like even though, so Russell Simmons was the one that was the producer for it, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so even though he was the producer, it it still kept that grittiness to it of like making you feel like, oh, this could be something that could be hosted at a coffee shop or at a small local high school or college theater, something like that. And that's what really got me going with the whole idea of like, oh, well, let me just find venues where I can host open mics at.
Yeah. And I was reading that it kind of came up out of Def Comedy too,
Yeah.
which I mean was pretty influential for a lot of current comics and I mean people who have been around since the early 2000s, late 90s. So.
Yeah, a lot of the poets, a lot of the spoken word artists found their start there, and they started doing gigs on TV shows and movies, and some of them even came out with like one-time or two-time albums. Some of them even came out with their own books that they published. So it really gave them like a base to start at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was also cool because I mean, at least the clips that you sent me, like it seems like they got in touch with some other artists as well.
Yeah,
Like so, it wasn't necessarily just like quote unquote poets, but also like rappers.
yeah. So they got in touch with, let's see, there was Common, DMX, Kanye West.
And I think Most Def was on it a couple times too.
Yeah,
from what I read.
he did do a couple of pieces, either somewhere like in the beginning or in the middle of the show. Um, Talib Kweli was on there. They also had a couple of comedians. They had Dave Chappelle on there. They had Cedric the Entertainer. Yeah, and then they had professors and writers, Broadway shows. So yeah, it was a very broad picture of how the different people would show up to perform.
That's dope. Um, I don't know if you saw this, but when I was doing some extra research for it, I saw that they were looking to reboot it at some point, like in 2017.
Yeah, and that was that. It irked me. It irked me so bad. So all of my closest friends that saw me performing, so my performances, I mean, I've traveled up and down California. There was a time where I would travel just to have a 10-minute set in Santa Cruz. I traveled to Sacramento to, I stayed at a friend's house, but the following day I had a full 15-minute set. I got paid for it. I went to visit friends in UC Irvine, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna have these performers coming out. We want you to help with the opening." So it was one of those things where, they had their set performers, and then they threw me in there, and I was like, "Okay, cool." And yeah, it's just been one of those things. So when I heard that Russell Simmons was looking into rebooting Def Poetry for 2017, I was ecstatic. I was trying to look for anywhere I could sign up, like how can I send in like a demo tape, like anything. And 2017 passed and we had 2018, 2019. I'm like, what happened?
Did you see who was, I guess, in the running to host it?
No, I didn't get to see that list.
It was Chance the Rapper.
And see, I could see that. I could see that happening. It's just, I would prefer Most Def to come back, just because like I don't feel like he can be replaced when it comes to like him being as an influential host.
Yeah. I don't even know who else would be able, like a good fit, especially in 2017.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other person that I could think of that would actually, I guess, respect it enough would probably be Kendrick, because that was like around To Pimp a Butterfly or right after it. So like that he can
Yeah,
do that.
and I don't want to jump the gun, so I'm gonna reserve what I'm gonna say. But that would have been perfect. Like either Mos Def or Kendrick, or have
get talented.
different artists
Yeah.
for each episode. Like HBO, hire me. Like hire me.
For real.
I can get you locations out here in the Bay Area. Hire me.
The Bay is there's a lot of talent out here, and
There
even
is.
one of the videos you sent me was from Casal, Raphael.
Oh, Rafael. Yeah,
I mean,
Berkeley boy.
yeah, and actually, him or David could actually probably host.
Yeah.
pretty well.
Oh, I would love that.
David would actually be perfect because
Yes.
he's just super artsy, anyways.
Yes, like Blind Spotting is my top 10. It's
such
in
a
my
good
top
movie.
10 list of favorite movies, and I can't wait for the show.
It's gonna be good.
Oh,
High hopes for sure. I'm gonna sign up for Showtime just for that.
yeah, just for that. That and Jesus and Mero.
Well, yeah.
But I can either see them bringing Mos Def back, having a different like hip hop artist that would convey the art form for each episode, or give Rafael Excel or Davey Diggs, like, please.
That'd be wild. I mean, I can't really think of anyone else off the top of my head, but I'll probably think of someone else on as
Probably, you know how it
talking.
goes. You know how it goes.
It's funny because I actually was I was interviewed the other day, and one of my friends was watching it, and she's like, "Yeah, no, I totally understand. Like when you're on the spot, you just
Yeah.
you just don't know anything."
Yeah, you forget so much,
I'm like, I talk about this stuff all the time. How am I blanking now?
dude. I totally understand.
Oh man, but so it's been a while since we even heard anything about it, which is insane.
Yeah.
So I think. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say recently.
Well, yeah. And so, before I get into what I was going to say, like, who brought it up again?
Oh man, Lemon Anderson. So Lemon is one of the first to perform on Def Poetry, first episode. What I liked about his performance, because his had to do with a young man that jumped off the Titanic. So not a true story, but it puts you in this thought process of how would it be being like a poor black kid that jumped off the Titanic and was the only survivor, while all these rich white people or a priest or a rich white girl were trying to like pay you in some form to save their lives. And it's like, nah, I'm gonna swim home. But what I liked about his performance and that piece was it was so real. It was raw. Because don't get me wrong, all the poets were great for the first episode. But there was just something that when I heard his piece, I liked that. He became instantly one of my favorite poets. And so anytime he performed, I just liked how it was real. I could identify with what he was saying. You don't have to be, you don't have to be Boricua. You don't have to live in the Bronx. But at the same time, it gave me the feeling of, well, I'm Latino, and I live in a small neighborhood, and my grandparents lived in Mexico and they moved to Oakland. So essentially like the ghetto, I guess you can call it. But I mean, for me, it's like it's Oakland. It was home.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I could really understand what he was saying, where he was coming from, and that's why I followed him on Instagram. And essentially this year in March, he posted up a picture and he wrote on a napkin, "Bring back Def Poetry." And I was like, yes. And I read his reasoning for that, and essentially it was just because right now is the perfect time to do it, because everyone has a story to tell. Everyone's hurting in some way or form. I mean, we just got out of a 4-year presidency. We're still going through COVID. We've had people pass away because of COVID or other reasons. We've lost hip hop artists. We've lost artists in general. We've lost wrestlers. We've lost so much. And yet there are so many of us out here that want to tell a story, want to uplift people. And I feel like right now is the time to bring that back. That's why with everything Def Poetry or Poetry, like, I've been using the same hashtag that he posted up, which was hashtag Bring Back Def Poetry.
Yeah,
That's what it boils down to.
absolutely. I feel like this is the perfect time to bring it back, considering what everyone's going through.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, we have some outlets for this, but it's not wide enough, I'd say. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're watching this video, you probably are subscribed to this channel at this point, because I don't expect anyone else to click on this. But if you aren't, I do a lot of breakdown videos, like lyric breakdowns. So in the last year or so, there's been a lot of rappers talking about what's been happening, and like, sure, that's some sort of outlet and some sort of attention drawn to it, but these are people who, like, they're not normal people.
Yeah.
Like, for a lack of a better term, like, these are people who can't necessarily connect with the regular people. The closest we got recently would probably be, well, early in COVID, we had the Little Baby track, which surprised me. I wasn't expecting him to actually say something like that deep.
I remember you breaking that down, and that threw me off too.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
But then even like yesterday when I was doing a breakdown for that J. Cole track, like,
interlude.
yeah,
Yeah.
like there was a line, something about like terrorists hovering over us, and I'm just like immediately like, this is probably talking about Trump, but no one else is gonna, like, no, every man or every person is gonna be saying that and getting it to enough people. And with Def Poetry, and even just poetry in general, like, that's a great outlet for it.
It is. It is. If it wasn't for me watching Def Poetry, to be honest, because I was writing a lot of my pieces down just in like scratch journals and everything when I was going through community college the first time around, and I never really thought like, oh, I should perform this piece because I felt vulnerable.
Yeah.
I felt exposed. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this on stage. And then I watched their performances. And then my buddy Mark was like, hey, I think you should do this piece and whatnot. And I sat down. I started memorizing my piece. And then one day we went to an open mic. I did it. And it had to do with a little bit of hip hop and immigration and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I swear to you, the thing that touched me the most was this older woman looked at me, she put her hand out, and she said, thank you. I was like, yo, what? And she told me that that poem meant a lot to her because she could tell that, you know, talking about jumping from box to box, like feeling like a jail cell, and talking about my grandparents who immigrated here and how I feel like my tongue is behind 32 pearly white bars. She was like, oh my god. And it's weird that I remember that because that was like 2002 2003 when I did that piece. But yeah, she said thank you, and then ever since then I found my niche because I wasn't the person that to do deep poetry, but I was the person to do blunt poetry. And I would go to open mics and people were just like, yo, that piece was really dope, da, da, da. And it's not me tooting my horn. It's just like, that's what I heard. And I didn't know how to take it. I didn't know how to like express the thank you. It was just like, oh, thanks. Because I'm still not used to that.
Oh yeah.
I'm still not used to that. But I feel like Def Poetry raised me. And then, you know, now it's almost come full circle for me because now I'm working on my book. I'm working on short fictional stories for my book. And in one of them, I already have a poem for the character in that story to perform.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, yes, like I can finally write a poem within a story for a character that I can identify with.
That's awesome.
And then just to see Lemon posting that up and like really pushing, I'm like, yo, like, can we please have this back, HBO Max? Like, they have the opportunity to bring back something so great.
Yeah. I mean, if not, I mean, someone else should definitely take up the mantle.
Right?
Like, I mean, whenever I end up opening a coffee shop, that's obviously going to be part of it, but
like, hip-hop coffee shop, DJ Fridays.
Are you know?
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Hell yeah. I'm investing.
Who knows what that's going to be? But no, like I going to what you're saying about being like just being vulnerable and being able to do it, like
Yeah.
that. I think that's like the biggest barrier to entry for most people.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in high school, I would write a lot, and I had a notebook, and I have since thrown it away. But like, the biggest thing for me was like I was just writing for myself, and I had no intentions to perform anything like that. But it's like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, even if it's something that you feel like people won't necessarily connect with, someone will.
Yeah.
Like, someone will find some way to connect with it. And that's, I think, the biggest thing, even with hip hop as well, and music in general. Like,
Yeah.
people will find some way to connect to a particular song or a particular artist. I actually saw a post on Reddit the other day that was like, this guy had been obviously listening to music his whole life,
Right.
but not until recently he was able to connect to a song and actually feel something from it.
Right.
And like, I don't know how old he is, but he was old enough. Like, the main reason that he connected with it was that his wife had left him.
Oh.
So like the song connected him to that. So I'm assuming he was like 30s to 40s.
Was it Iman's Fuck You?
No, no, it wasn't hip hop. But still,
I
it's
always
like,
think about that song when it comes to like breakups. It's like, oh,
yeah.
that's rough.
Going back to the original Def Poetry, though, why do you think they ended it, and why do you think it's hasn't come back yet?
To be honest, I don't know why they stopped it. Part of me wants to say maybe too many people were trying to popularize it, oversaturate it, commercialize it. Because, in all seriousness, there was a point where I even started seeing when I was going to open mics with friends or by myself to Frisco, San Jose, Los Angeles. You would have these people come in, and you could tell that they were just in it trying to get noticed or like trying to make people think they're all cool and shit. And
Yeah,
I hated it because that's what made me stop for a while with going to open mics, because I started seeing people coming in wearing like, you know, silk shirts, jeans, and grills in their mouths, or like stunner shades, like the huge ones, making a mockery of it. And I was just really upset by that. And like, nothing against people that wear that stuff, but
you can tell when they're faking it, though.
yeah. And I think the one that really pissed me off was some kid went up to an open mic in Union City. And I kid you not, it pissed me off. I wanted to tell the host to not have that kid back on anymore or something. I wasn't hosting it. Someone else was, but I was so mad because he actually had the nerve to go up on and tell everyone, oh yeah, this is an original piece, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And the first 5 lines, I was like, that's a piece from this person from Def Poetry. I was so fucking mad. And I just let it go. I didn't tell the guy or anything. But when the kid walked by me, I'm like, an original piece, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so is it from Def Poetry? And the look on his face, I was like, man, get the fuck out of here. Like, you're fucking whack. Strip. I told him that because it irritated me.
Yeah.
Like, that would be like someone we know going up on stage saying, I got an original track and it's a Kendrick Lamar track. You'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
You know goddamn well.
It pissed me off.
Yeah.
That was one of the major things that pissed me off. And then there was other poets that after a while would use it as a platform to say they were against racial injustice and stuff like that, but then themselves come off racially insensitive
Yeah.
to people around them. Like, I called out someone at an open mic after they had gone on before me. So they went on, they performed, they did their thing. I went up there and I called them out subliminally. And it was funny because I could see the dude in the far back looking at me. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm probably gonna fight this guy, and it shouldn't get to this.
And I mean, speaking like how we our conversations before we start recording, I would not be surprised.
And the thing is, I don't like to, nor do I want to get in fights.
Yeah,
But
no
if
one
I have to
does.
defend myself, like, I'm gonna let you take that first swing, but it's gonna be the last. You might get a couple shots in, but I'm gonna make sure you go down. And this was one of those moments in my head when I was looking at him, because the thing is, like, that dude was like maybe a couple inches shorter than me, but I could tell, like, okay, he could probably throw a couple good blows.
Sure, yeah.
So nor here nor there. It's just, it upset me because he had the mentality of going up there and saying what he said about racial injustices and whatnot, but then had the indecency to narrow down something he said to one ethnicity.
Mm.
And that just kind of upset me because, like, we're supposed to be in a safe spot.
Yeah.
And you're really not making anyone feel safe right now.
Yeah. I can see where people would take offense to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, yeah.
And to go back to your question, I think that's what happened with Def Poetry, because you start seeing an oversaturation. People trying to commercialize it, trying to bank on it more,
Yeah.
and running with it. Like, we could tell in the community those that were real about it and trying to sell chapbooks or get publishing deals, whatnot. And then you have those that were going to open mics and going to slam poetry competitions and kind of making a mockery of it. And it was just getting to the point where no one really wanted to go out or deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened, to be honest. Def Poetry just said, yeah, we're kind of done with this.
That makes sense. I mean, I definitely feel like, because right around the end of Def Poetry, I was just starting high school. So,
Fuck. Really make me feel old.
I was actually in 8th grade.
Son of a bitch.
But no, like,
Dude.
like looking back, like I'm trying to remember now.
I'm going to stop you right there. Just to let you know, I was doing either my freshman or sophomore year in Chabot. That's why it's like, fuck, you're making me feel old right now.
It's not that bad.
I mean, yeah,
It's
true.
not that bad.
But damn, still. 8th grade bourgeois.
I mean, just think about how I feel whenever Jaren says something.
Fuck.
Boy, is 22.
I can do one worse. I had one of my buddy's little brothers come up to me, and you know how there's that TikTok whole tell me you're old without telling me you're old? He was just like, Jose, how old are you? I'm like,
no.
I was like, I've owned every Nintendo system when it first came out. The look on his face was like a backhand to my soul.
Oh, man.
Because he was just like, oh, God. I'm like, fuck.
That's also how I feel with my sister, because she's 12, so.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know the deal.
Here, we're going to move a little bit because they're closing up the shop here. I think I was saying that right around that time, like I was barely in high school, and I started noticing like people were going like there was an increase in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was partially why I was writing it, because that was just a thing. And even people in high school were, I mean, I went to a private school, so you get all the weirdos who will actually be into this. So, like, it made sense. Like, there were people around me that were kind of into that as well.
Right.
And there was definitely a point in time where it was like, just like, that was like when everyone was like, oh, you're such a hipster, like that sort of thing.
Right.
And people were actively trying to be hipsters. But I think that's kind of where I came at it from. But the other thing that really, like when I was just thinking about it, that came to mind with why it might have ended is kind of just the culture around that time. Like not necessarily just in poetry itself, but like in hip hop. Because it's still very hip hop related. At least it's hip hop adjacent.
Yeah.
Because in 2006, 2007, that was when like Soulja Boy and them were coming out.
Yeah.
So.
And people were really dressing up
super
like them.
shifted.
It really did.
So like the audience for that kind of thinned out, you could say.
Yeah, and it sucks because at that point in time, you're talking about like when they had Kanye West on there.
That was before college drop, or no, right around
It
there
was right
actually.
around college dropout. Yeah,
Late
and a
registration,
little
all
bit
that.
before late registration.
Yeah,
And you had Talib Kweli, you had Common, you had DMX. I think that was around probably the Great Depression, maybe earlier.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
Or right before it actually.
yeah. So I mean, you had DMX on there. Um, Common, I don't remember what he had dropped at that point, but I know an album came out, and that's when he was under Good Music.
Yeah, it wasn't B. It was some.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was before his more electronic sounding album. I forgot what it
yeah.
was called.
I don't remember. I know I had it, and then not good. Not sorry, not sorry. I traded that in.
I mean, looking back now, I mean, he sampled African Bambaataa, and
Yeah,
even though he's technically a legend, he's kind of a dickhead. So, uh,
that's another story.
so there's that at least.
But I mean, you're talking about Soldier Boy coming out, and all those other internet, Facebook, some Twitter rappers.
I think it was still more MySpace at that point. It was like right
That's what I
before
was trying to
Facebook.
remember. Sorry, MySpace. It was the MySpace age.
Yeah, yeah, and ringtone rap.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah.
You could get every dumb song you heard would be
Yeah.
available for a ringtone.
Yeah. If you didn't buy it, you knew where to download it from.
This is also something I talked about recently. I mean, LimeWire,
Yeah.
file sharing,
Napster.
just file sharing in general. Honestly,
Yeah.
it was. It's. I mean, it's still a thing,
But I
but
mean, that's what was happening. Like you had all these MySpace people coming out, and it really thinned the herd of like you could tell who the real from like the wannabes were.
yeah, and
And
even with the artists who were like known for putting in more content, or not even like conscious rappers, just like people who would actually put in more of themselves into their music.
yeah,
They kind of shifted a little bit too,
yeah.
to keep up with it.
And I think that's what spelled the end. It's and it sucks because like we said earlier, 2017, right when I heard, oh yeah, they're gonna try to come out with a new season,
Yeah.
I was like, shit, tight, okay, cool. Like it was it was one of those moments in my heart where I'm just like, okay, this is gonna be great, but at the same time, I was like, but can it be good again?
Yeah.
Because the first 6 seasons were great, and then Brave New Voices was cool because it gave you a look into how the Brave New Voices show ran behind the scenes and how the poets performing in their practices. But can Def Poetry work again? And after like a year or two of like not hearing anything, I was like, okay, yeah, it's not coming back.
Yeah, I mean, especially because it was 2017. It's been 4 years. We haven't
Yeah.
heard anything until now when we started talking about it, or when we saw the post earlier this year.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't really a thing yet. Like
Yeah.
no one was really saying anything, and it sucks.
yeah. But I think with Lemon putting that out there, because I just remember he put it out there, and everyone, even like friends that follow me and I follow them back on Instagram, were like, "Yo, like, yes, this could be great." Blah blah blah. I want to see this happen. Heck, even like some of the deaf poets were liking the posts and commenting, and
Yeah.
even some of my favorite poets were like, yes, like let's bring it back, like this is the time, now we can do it, even if it's just for one season. I'm like, yo, HBO Max right now with the streaming service, they have the money, and it doesn't, like this time around, I feel like it's not necessary to do it just in, I think they're doing it from New York.
Right.
So this time around, it could be, okay, this one episode's going to be in New York, and then this place in San Francisco, and this, and that. And you have to move up because cars.
Yeah,
But,
like it doesn't have to necessarily be in one spot. It can be anywhere.
yeah, and maybe that could be another thing for hosts, where it's like, depending on which city you're in, maybe someone from that city can host it. So
Yeah.
maybe we do get Davy Diggs hosting the one in Oakland. Maybe we get Kendrick hosting one in Los Angeles. Maybe we get. I mean, I don't know. Like,
There's a lot of options, honestly,
yeah,
and it doesn't
hire
even
me.
it doesn't even have to be HBO. I don't even know if they have the rights to it still. I imagine they do
I would imagine they do.
because it hasn't even been 10 years. Or no, it's been 10 years. I'm dumb.
I was like,
Actually, yeah, they might not have it anymore then, but who knows? I mean,
Yeah,
Russell
whoever
Simmons
has
still
it.
has it.
yeah. Well, I mean, if he has it, then just like give it up.
Yeah, I mean, you can even go to Netflix if you're trying to get a chance. I mean, fuck it, he did that whatever show it was that I didn't watch.
I have such. All I'm gonna say is this: my cousin Joel told me about something that he saw from that show. I was swinging fists in the air.
Mm.
I was so mad about what I heard. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, if Netflix does it, cool,
Yeah.
great, do it.
Someone.
Someone hire me.
And it doesn't have like I said earlier, it doesn't have to specifically be Def Poetry. It can be
It doesn't.
anything.
But I want to see it done right and
Yeah.
properly. Like, I don't want. I'm gonna put it out there. I don't want like an over commercialized rapper hosting it, and
Yeah.
I don't want it to be turned into some type of like judging format where you have three people that know nothing of poetry or only had done poetry a little bit here and there. Like, no, I don't want it to be a judging format. If they do that, I'll lose my shit.
Yeah, because that's going more into the slam poetry thing, which that wasn't really what they were doing.
Exactly.
Like they were doing more of the what's it called, open mic sort of thing.
Yeah. And that's
So-
what I'm saying. Like, it would be great to see. Like, I feel like, granted, Netflix could do it. You know, whoever has the rights can do it, whatever. But if it's gonna be HBO money and HBO Max doing it, cool. Like,
Yeah,
do it where it's like, let's do this in this city, this in that city. So we're really expanding and getting like poets to come out.
Yeah.
Because like, no joke, so one of the poets on there, his name is Jamie DeWolf.
mm-hmm.
I was like, yo, I've seen that guy. He hosts, because he's the one that hosts Tourette's Without Regrets in Oakland.
Okay.
So around that time, I took a bartending school so I can learn how to make drinks and everything.
Sure.
And right when I walked in there to sign and pay for my class, he was behind the desk. And he helps there. And I was like, yo, I saw you on Def Poetry. I've been to some of your shows in Oakland, blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, oh, shit. Okay, well, discount. I'm like, hey.
That's what's up.
But it made me go, yo, like, this is one of the guys that I idolized in Def Poetry. Like,
Yeah.
him and his crew known as the Suicide Kings.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, like, great poets. Great poets.
Yeah.
And I met him and, like, the whole crew, and then I've met other groups like Proletariat Bronze through him and his show in Oakland. And that's what I'm saying, like, if you do a show in Oakland, okay, have it on the Tourette's Without Regret stage. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that place will get packed because they do it at the old Opera House in Oakland, which people are trying to shut down because,
Yeah.
you know, transplants and
Gentrification.
gentrification. Fuck them.
For real.
Proudly, with my chest out. Fuck them.
Yeah. No, there's so many ways they could do it,
Yeah.
and like I don't know. I mean, you don't even have to like. You can even try and make it super accessible and just do it on YouTube. I mean, they already do that sort of thing on YouTube, but
Yeah, the YouTube Red.
yeah. No, I mean like
Oh, just in general, the YouTube channel.
yeah. People already post these things and
Yeah.
like have channels for it.
Yeah.
But
I think about it, like, anyone that has the license, you can just say, we're going to turn this into a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And, like, beautiful.
they'll get enough money off of advertising, I'm sure.
Hell yeah. To make it free and accessible for everyone to watch and feel the inspiration. Like,
Yeah. And this is coming from someone who is still not monetized on YouTube, by the way.
I don't have a YouTube channel, but follow me on Instagram.
No, that like there's so many outlets that they could go for, and it's crazy. Going back into how you're saying you don't want it to be super commercialized and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The first person that came to mind was like, what if they bought Drake on? Because Drake,
You know what? Here's the thing about that. I wouldn't mind if he hosted,
yeah,
because we've seen what he did with King of the Dot
yeah,
for
And he's all over
world
URL.
domination. Yeah, and all over URL. Like,
He's actively promoting it too.
yeah, I think that would be great because with the money he has and what he can do, oh, that would be beautiful. That's why I was like, wait a minute. Like, it wasn't me going like, oh, like, but
Yeah.
you know what? That could work because we've seen what he can do.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same reaction I had like when I first started realizing like, yo, actually he's pretty involved with battle rap.
Yeah.
Like, really, Drake?
Yeah,
but
no.
then okay, yeah, no, cool. He's actually doing something good with it.
Because I can honestly see him hosting it or like at least producing it, having OVO produce it, be behind the scenes. Like, you know, his name's there because he put in the money, but it's like, you know, I want to actively help out here. Okay, cool. Yeah. And he just puts in the money for the production, gets the team together, blah, 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 blah. And
yeah, it'd be dope.
It'd be great. I feel like he would be an honest to God good person that would be able to put it together.
And actually now, going off of that...
Hire us, OVO.
No, well, I mean, maybe, but...
Come on.
I mean, I got family in Toronto, so, I mean, I'm already halfway there, right?
I'm willing to move to Canada. I really am.
No, but what I was going to say is, this reminds me, because I've talked about PG Lang a couple times on here.
Oh, yeah.
And that might be something that they would want to do. Because they're super, like, at least what their mission statement sounded like.
Yeah.
It was, like, super artsy, like, they're trying to, basically...
broaden the horizon.
Yeah, well, broaden the horizon, but also, like, help the creators and actually, like, get the art out there.
Yeah. No, I remember when you did that video, I was like, okay, like, I didn't know what to think because I remember your first thought was, okay, so it's not just a rap group.
Yeah.
They're doing A, B, C, and D. And I was thinking to myself, like, no joke, but it was funny. I was watching that and I had that playing in the background while I was shaving my head. Because your boy has no hair, you can tell. But I was watching it and I was listening to the video and I was like, yo, that's actually a pretty good mission statement. Like, why not?
Yeah. So, I mean, they could probably be a pretty good outlet for it. Yeah. Especially given, like, Dave Free is just amazing with video work. Like, he could probably, like, get it set up in a way that actually looks really dope, too.
Yeah. Because I'm not going to lie, there was a couple times when I was watching Def Poetry, some of the footage looked a little rough, and then there was times when they would have published authors or professors, like, step up, and I don't know why they did it. I remember they did for the first and second season, they would turn the screen brown. Like that old school newspaper brown look for them, for the older cats. And I was just like, this feels like I never thought about it until like recently when I was watching the videos again before this.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that just feels unnaturally wrong. Because you're doing that color for the older cats. But for like the new poets, it's like high definition color.
Right.
Like, that feels a little disrespectful.
you just keep it even across the board.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, like the video footage was great, but there was sometimes where it was like it looked a little too gritty, or they did the brown color, and I was like,
yeah.
But I mean, it would be great to have someone that has great production skill.
Yeah. Shit, that'd be dope.
It would. Maybe do something a little bit like, I don't know. For me, I don't know how you feel, but personally, I like to see behind the scenes stuff sometimes. Like, maybe have the poets, like, in their room practicing or, like, talking with each other and whatnot. Because, I mean, that's how I am with, like, watching certain movies and shows. Like, right now, like, on Disney, after watching WandaVision and The Falcon and Winter Soldier, I watched the behind the scenes stuff. And it was pretty cool because you get to see, like, the interaction, how long it took, and whatever. That would be cool to see too.
Yeah, and I mean it's part of it, so why not? Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be like super in your face about it. Like they could just kind of do it in passing.
Yeah, it's funny because like this conversation reminds me of a conversation I had like a couple months ago. I was telling a buddy of mine about how Def Poetry should come back and whatnot, and his argument to me was, "Well, there's America's Got Talent."
It's not the same.
It's not, because like
at all.
Yeah, like for me, America's Got Talent. Don't get me wrong. I know there's musical acts that go up there, but I feel like it's a circus show.
It's a little bit too broad.
Yeah.
Like,
and I don't think the judges would take a poet seriously up there. To be honest, I don't
Yeah.
think they would.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen any of this, so I can't say, but
I've only seen
I
like
wouldn't be surprised if it's like,
I've only caught a couple games. It's one of those judge shows, right? They
yeah,
have 3 or 5 judges. I'm like,
yeah, and I don't know. I mean, with that show, I feel like it's kind of hard to actually have judges that are gonna be, I guess, well informed with each particular sort of act, but
right,
that's something else entirely.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
But they need to bring it back.
Huh?
They need to bring it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have notes?
The only other thing I had was the Brand New Voice and Youth Speaks.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not super familiar with Brand New Voice, but I'm aware of Youth Speaks.
So it's Brave New Voices.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all good. So Youth Speaks, at least out here in the Bay Area, it's an organization where they have like really young kids up to teenagers. I forgot what age it stops at, but
It's like 14, 15.
that sounds about right. But the thing I like about them is they've gone on record to say that some of the youth that have completed their years in Youth Speaks come back and work and help out the new youth or become directors or coaches and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. Like they have a full rotation going on. And if I remember correctly, that's where Brave New Voices comes in, because Brave New Voices, it's a competition that's held in different parts of the U.S. And each branch of Brave New Voices goes into competitions until there's a team that represents state, and then after that, then it goes into championships for U.S. And then I don't know where it stems from there, because it's been a long time since I've really delved into this conversation. But yeah, because I remember I went to a couple of Youth Speak events when I was in Oakland visiting and going to open mics and whatnot. And then there was one time where after an event that was in Berkeley, everyone that was a poet there said, we got to go to the Brave New Voices competition, because it was for Bay Area.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool because all the people that show up, the Brave New Voices competitions are huge, because it was like in a huge auditorium. That's what I remember. And that was pretty cool. Loud. You don't need a bug that loud being that much off the ground. Anyways.
No, I think I was gonna go to one of the Youth Speaks events a few years ago.
Yeah.
Just because my girlfriend was like, yeah, this is the thing that they do.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
No, it's cool because you see kids that are doing a poem on their own, or like a 2-person piece. I think the coolest one I saw was a 3-person piece. And it was 3 young ladies, and I like those kind of pieces because, you have one person going, then the other person, then the other person, and then there's synchronization between the 3 or between 2 while the other one's doing their own thing, then comes back. And I'm like, okay, like you can tell that there's a lot of practice going into these pieces, but also a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's great to see that kind of stuff, especially with kids that are like, I think the youngest I've seen on stage was 10, 11-year-old.
That's wild.
And the oldest being a 15-year-old. So
crazy.
yeah.
Like that, the synchronization kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you're aware of them, but Seth's Crew, who was signed.
Yeah.
Like when they first videos,
yeah,
they're just doing a cappella and they're like,
remember. Yeah, dude, that's one of my favorite videos from that one, and then the other black and white video where they're doing it right by the tour buses, and then at the end, Tech comes in, and he's like, "That's why I signed them." Dude, when I saw those videos, I was like, "Yes, this is what I'm talking about."
Yeah, like that was something that I was like, okay, no, this is something else entirely.
Yeah, and that's what I think about when I hear like duets or like triples on the stage doing it, because it exactly comes off like that, because maybe all 3 of them are echoing each other just like within a second of each other, or two people will say something while the other person's off saying something else, but then they come back together. It's just beautiful when that's done perfectly.
It's also very hard to do.
Because I honestly, I can never.
Just get tripped up.
Yeah. I feel like I would get tongue-tied or mess up the flow.
Exactly.
I'm like, no, I'm going to go solo.
Sorry, I just messed everything up.
Just walk off stage, take the L.
My bad. Just kill the whole vibe.
You two keep going, I'm off.
Oh, man. No, yeah. There's a whole lot out there that needs to be expanded, I feel. Definitely. Yeah. And that hopefully something comes back soon.
Yeah. It would be great. It would be great to see. I don't think it would come back this year, but I would like to have a rumble going this year and then maybe see something within the next year or two.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, it obviously takes time to get this sort of thing going. So
yeah.
Don't expect anything right away.
No, but making a rumble right now would be great. Like this video, and then just like put it out there to everyone, like on all the socials, and be like, what do you think? Like, this should really happen.
Yeah. But I don't see why not.
Yeah.
There's definitely an audience for it.
There is.
There's an audience for everything.
Yeah. And no, I mean, I don't think as many people that have seen that post and liked it and everything wouldn't have just liked it.
Right.
It had to have connected with many people, because I think the last time I checked, it was like at about maybe, it was like in the 5 digits of likes.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, no, like, this is how many people want to see it come back. And then some.
Definitely.
Because, I mean, if you think about it, like, you want to see it. I want to see it. The age difference. And then I've gotten, like, a couple of youngsters when I was talking to them about poetry when they were in high school, talking about it. And one of them, I gave her a couple of DVDs as a gift, and now she's showing her kid. I'm like, there's an audience. There's gonna be people that are gonna want to watch this and see this and like learn about it.
Definitely, and I mean, if they want to try to even make it more, I guess, accessible to people, like have more hip hop artists on there or something, like just something to draw people in, and then like they'll watch the whole episode and they'll be like, oh shit, this is dope.
like between you and me, I feel like we can make a laundry list of artists that we can say this person will be great on here. There's like top tier right now, Kendrick. I want to see Kendrick do a poetry piece.
Yeah, and he could do it well.
Yeah,
I'm sure J. Cole, No Name. I'm
Bring back the legend Rakim.
Yeah, he ain't doing much.
He came out with that book, 2-3 years ago?
Something like that, yeah.
I can't believe I missed that. He was in Oakland autographing, and I had a chance to go.
I remember you telling me about that too. Or no, Kenlon told me about that.
Yeah, no.
Because he had gotten me, I think he had gotten me a Jay-Z book. Yeah, when he got me that one, he was like, what's crazy is that same day it just happened that Rakim was at another bookstore, but I didn't know about it until I got home. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, the day I knew about it, I was like, cool, I want to go to it, but then the day it came up, because I worked on campus.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a Q&A panel for my school like 45 minutes away.
Oh.
So I had to travel to another college to speak to students for 2 hours.
Oh, damn.
So by the time I got back, it was like,
it's too late.
I can't go.
Yeah.
I was so heartbroken. And like, hella people I know went to it. I'm like, no one thought about getting me a book with an autograph in it.
That's so messed up.
Fuck y'all. I'm remembering this.
No, but like, I mean, Rhapsody would be dope for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Starrock. There's so many people that would be dope.
Yeah.
And like, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Because like, you don't even have to go and get like the biggest hip hop artists. You can get like the B tier. Like, that sounds bad, but I mean like the people who are really dope but don't have the biggest audience.
Yeah.
Like,
get them noticed.
Yeah. Like, I mean, Rhapsody's big, but like most people don't know who Rhapsody is.
Which sucks.
Like, she's way up there, and then like everyone knows Kendrick though.
I'm gonna say a name, and I feel like you're gonna hate me for it. Get Logic.
I mean, fuck it, why not?
Okay.
No, my feelings on Logic are they switch up quite a bit. I don't know if you've seen like the last couple of videos I did regarding Logic.
I have.
But like, I see why he did what he was doing, and it all makes sense
I
now.
watch him because I want to see if you're gonna rant.
I start to, but then I'm like, no. I mean, there's a reason that he did all this. Like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm obviously not making any money, so I'm gonna go work and do something else.
Yeah.
While this is just kind of in the background.
Yeah. But there's so many artists out there, A, B, C listers. Like, heck,
Just get
like,
anyone from Rhymesayers,
right,
or
right.
anyone from Mellow Music Group.
Hell, like, let's get some of the underground artists that are like well known but not acknowledged.
Let's get Murs.
Murs. No, I had to go into my memory and be like, was Murs over?
No, I think that was like he wasn't. No one knew him in 2002, 2006. Like, even now, people don't really know him, but I know him. So
Me too.
What's crazy is like one of my Spesh, who runs the podcast meetup and everything.
Right.
Like, she knows him, like, just as a person, like not even like like an industry connection. Like they're just cool. Like they met through Fashawn, which is just like, what the fuck.
I don't know, like, I love Murs, I love his music, but it's just like it trips me out sometimes because he talks about he openly talks about like the porn stars he knows.
Oh yeah, he's hilarious.
I've seen some of the interviews that porn stars have done when they ask them about Murs, and I'm just like, this is a trip because I'm mentally I'm used to watching interviews with
Right.
Murs, but then watching the interviews with the porn stars talking
Why you
about
bring up
Murs,
Murs?
like.
I mean,
What?
he did have Asa Akira for that one video.
Yeah.
That video was fucking hilarious too, though. But
That threw me off completely. I'm like,
yeah, it's like a short ass cameo. Too.
no, but it's like, it's funny when you go, isn't that Asa Akira? And everyone around you's like, who's Asa Akira? And you're like,
Oh, never mind.
yeah.
No, but there's so many people that could definitely fit that bill. Like,
Yeah.
people who like aren't super well known, but definitely could rock their ass off, especially in that sort of setting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
Make this happen. Make it happen. Hire me.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah.
I'm unemployed, but I got ideas out the fucking ass. This whole time, I've been cussing. I'm like, wait, can I cuss on a podcast? But
I really don't care.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Like, I limit it as much as I can, but it's also like, I don't care. I'm not monetized yet.
Have you thought about just doing like the noises?
Nah, that's too much work. I'm not going to go through and edit all that out.
Because I find it funny when I see shows that have the blurb, the beeping, but it's a different noise. Like, who was it? Epic Mealtime, they had the whole dolphin noise, I think it was.
Oh, that's in SpongeBob too.
Yeah, and then when I used to watch SourceFed, they would have like just the censor beep, but it would have a censor bar go over the mouth.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
there's so many ways to do it. It's hilarious. It's just too much work for me. So if your virgin ears are not okay with this, I'm sorry.
fuck you.
I think
One episode you should just interview me and just let me just go with it, and then right when you're editing it, just throw the beeps in there, and then
just be like one long beep.
I would greatly appreciate that. Just like
It'd
get my
be so
fucking
funny.
laughs, and people are like, "The fuck's wrong with Jose?" Fuck you!
Yeah. I think we've about expended what we can say about this.
Yeah.
This is the part of the podcast where I'm just going to say what, just news stuff, because I didn't do it weekly this week because I'm lazy, or well, last week because that podcast comes out on Monday. Also, had a headache all day, so
Fuck off.
This week, not a whole lot of stuff happened, as usual. That TD announcement, I updated the podcast description. It was Isaiah Rashad. He put out "Lay With Ya." The song is dope. I mean, I like it. It's a vibe. It's not really lyric heavy, but it's ignorant. I mean, I pulled up next to Jose with it blasting.
I was like, the fuck?
I also did a breakdown for it, so check that out. His album's supposed to be coming out in June. It's still named The House is Burning, so I'm excited for that. Other than that, J. Cole, his album is coming out next week, or well, by the time you're watching it, this week, on Friday, the off season. I also did a breakdown for the interlude track, but I'm still not sure where he's gonna go with this album. It's gonna be exciting though, because it sounds like he's just kind of doing something else entirely. Like the interlude track. This is something I was gonna say when I was doing the breakdown, but I got distracted because I was also streaming it. The interlude track, obviously, it's an interlude, but the way it sounded kind of sounded like an intro. So to me, it's maybe an interlude in terms of his projects, and it's still an intro track for the album, but track list ain't out yet, so I'm just gonna say whatever the fuck I want. Other than that, I mean, music came out. The only other albums that I really paid attention to this week was the Czarface and MF Doom one, Super What. This was supposed to come out last year, in March, like right as COVID hit. So that's why they pushed it back. So they're not trying to get just cash out on MF Doom. I mean, they've worked together before, so you shouldn't expect it to be a cash grab. Also, L'Orange. I'm going to say L'Orange because it's funnier that way, and he doesn't watch this, even though we talk every once in a while. L'Orange and Namir Blade, they dropped. What was the name of the album? There it is. Imaginary Everything. It's a weird album. It's different than what you would expect. It's kind of like there's a lot of guitar in it. Like it's still hip hop. It's still very much hip hop.
Just like a lot of guitar riffs.
Yeah, and like Namir Blade's like singing sometimes, so it's fun.
Cool.
Yeah, other music came out. Not much that I really pay attention to. So I mean, as you know, just let me know what I missed. Coming this week because this is coming out Monday. Reviews for those two albums I just mentioned and breakdowns. Yeah, that's really all that's coming. I don't have anything else to add. This is Jose again. Thank you for joining me. He's been here before. If you haven't been keeping up
or listening,
yeah, I mean, I don't blame y'all. Yeah. There's a lot of episodes. This is actually episode 98, so that's crazy.
One more, we get the 100.
Well, two
more.
This is 98.
Oh, this is 98. Okay. For some reason, I thought you said this is 99. I'm like, one more.
No. I've mentioned it before, but he was the main inspiration for me, like main push really to get me to actually doing this. So
I was like, go do it.
Basically. I think it was like 3 years in a week or two. Like when I tweeted that out drunkenly.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, that's when I responded. I'm like, let's talk?
Yeah.
Shit.
So it's crazy.
Damn.
But yeah, follow him everywhere. I'm going to have all those links in the description.
Hey, yeah, I have so many social medias. And you know what? I have a TikTok. I'm probably going to start posting on there soon. Like, Rep Dogfather Tattoo. I'm not a tattoo artist. I'm not a piercer, but I help out there every now and then.
I'll have to come by sometime too. But...
yeah, come get inked or pierced, whatever.
Both?
Yes. I can totally point you in the right direction. But yeah, I mean, I'm at Dogfather, helping them out every now and then. But I'm thinking about like recording some of the tattooers, like their work that they're doing, like doing a whole like maybe profile on them and whatnot. But also like showing off some of the ink I have, or just in general, just showing my friends' ink or stuff like that, because I like tattoos. Like I watch Inked on YouTube, and anytime I'm in an area where there's a tattoo shop, I like to go and peek in, check it out, just get a vibe for it. But yeah. So all my social medias are going to be up. Jesus Christ.
There's going to be a lot of links in the description.
Follow me.
But yeah, bring back Def Poetry.
Bring back Def Poetry. Give us Kendrick Lamar. Have OVO produce it, or
PG Lang.
PG Lang. Let's get some hip hop artists on there. Bring back the original Def Poetry Collective. Hire me on it. Hire this man on it. Like,
I'm not doing much.
we'll do work. Oh man. Damn. In 3 years. Fuck.
Yeah, it's.
I still remember that. Also, I was like, "Shit, you want to talk about it?" You're like, "Oh fuck yeah." I didn't know you drunkenly put it out there.
Well, it was like in the middle of the night. So what else would I be doing?
I don't know. Like, I just thought you were just chilling. You're like me when I post shit up. It's like insomnia. It's like, what are you doing up at like 2:30 in the morning? Look, I'm laying in bed, staring at the fucking ceiling, trying to figure shit out.
Fair enough.
I know you were drunk, but I mean, cool. At least that gave me the inspiration to be like, fuck it, let's talk about it, and then kick your ass to go do it.
Yeah. 3 years later, here I am in a parking lot.
I mean, studio coming, or coffee shop.
Yeah, eventually.
Eventually.
But yeah, do all the normal stuff. I'm going to show you something over here.
Yeah, we've been staring at chickens and ducks.
There's only 2 minutes
day.
left on this recording, but I don't know if you all can see that. There's chickens over there.
Chickens, ducks.
Anyways.
That's supposed to be an apartment complex.
Yeah.
What?
Oh god, I'm just going to put this down, probably in the wrong spot. So, in the comments, hashtag bring back Def Poetry.
Hell yeah.
Also, let me know if you ever watched it, because I wasn't really into all this back then.
And you can find all 6 seasons on YouTube if you type it in correctly. But HBO doesn't even know that shit.
But we're trying to get it back. They're going to take it down now.
Fuck, like, save it. Like, go on there, find it, save it to your hard drive.
Yeah, so do all that. Also, do the same thing that I always tell you to do. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And please stay safe out there.
Peace.